warm welcome to each and every one of you. Welcome to Wheel of Wisdom, a place where the right message finds you. So, now let me show you guys our Wheel of Wisdom through which the universe is going to choose a book for us. You are so welcome, Eve. Okay, opening the wheel, just a moment. Mhm. So, my dear ones, this is our wheel of wisdom. And as you guys can see, this wheel contains the name of 50 plus books that I have read over the past 10 years of my life. So, some of the best books I have put on this wheel. And now, before we spin the wheel and the universe picks a book for us, I invite you guys to take a moment and ask yourself, what do I need guidance on today? And whatever it is that came up for you, hold that in your awareness as we spin the wheel. Okay. So the book that came up is Mind Made Prison by Matteo Tabatabai. So let's see, what prison have we all created for ourselves in our minds? So give me a moment to open this beautiful, beautiful book so that we can receive the message that we need to hear most today. So let me show you guys the cover page of this book, which is this Mind Made Prison. And now choosing some numbers for our game that we're going to play in a moment. Mhm. Okay. So, my dear ones, in a moment from now, I'm going to ask you guys to pick a number. Okay. And when I do so, there is no need to rush. Just see what number pops up first in your head, share it in the comments, and then I am going to go through all your numbers and pick a number that my intuition is feeling most called to. Okay, so yeah, I invite you guys to pick a number between 16 to 170. So let's see which message does, our collective wisdom wants to, hear today. Thank you, Sri Ram, for choosing a number. It's pretty quiet today. Thank you, Doug, for choosing a number. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Karen. Anyone else who would like to pick a number and receive the message from the universe? Okay, thank you, Soul. Pretty close to Sarah. Ah, thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Candace. Okay, so seems like anyone who wanted to share a number has done so. So now let me see which number is coming up for me. Mhm. So let's go with the number 97 by Sarah. Okay, so let's see what message wants to come through for Sarah and anyone else who needs to hear it. Okay, and it does extend to page number 98, so maybe it's a message for both Sarah and Soul. So, yeah. So the heading is self inquiry, and there are certain number of questions that you can ask yourself, especially when you're feeling, any form of distress within, inside of you. So you can, ask this question in reference to any belief. So whenever you're feeling any distress, you can ask yourself, what am I believing right now? So that might reveal the belief either about yourself, like I'm not good enough, I don't deserve love, or I am difficult, I'm a failure, these kind of beliefs. Or it might reveal some belief about other person, like other people are not trustworthy, other people are mean, dangerous, stuff like that. Or it might reveal a belief about life or the world in general, like, life is so unfair, life is so difficult, and so on. So, asking yourself, what am I believing in this moment? So, this might highlight the story that is going on in your head when you're feeling any distress, in your body, in your mind. And then asking yourself that, why do I believe this? So, giving your mind a chance to give you all the reasons and all the, evidences that it has to support that belief, like why do you believe this about yourself, about other person, or about life in the first place? Something might have happened in the past, you might have, done something, something might have happened to you. So allow all the evidences to be on the table, which is very easy in those moments because your mind is just, throwing so many evidences at you at that moment because you really, really are in that state. And when we are in a particular emotional state, we can easily recall the events that in the past that made us feel the same way before. So asking yourself, why do I believe this? Okay, it is going to get better. So then asking yourself, do I know with absolute certainty that this belief is true? So, like, are you 100% sure that this belief is completely true? Like, this belief is 100% true. This belief is true it has been true in every single instance of your life. For example, if you believe you are a failure, then has this belief been true in every moment of your life up until now? Like, have you never succeeded in your life up until now? Have you always failed at every single thing you tried? Which is not true because that I can tell you because you tried learning to walk and now I think you might be able to walk. Or you tried learning to speak and now you might be able to speak. So, yeah, so, asking yourself that is this belief 100% true? Examining this belief, questioning this belief instead of just believing whatever story your mind is serving you. Um, and okay. And then asking yourself, is this belief enhancing or decreasing the quality of my life? So, you know, it doesn't really matter. So that first question is like important. It helps you see that whatever your mind tells you is not 100% true. It helps you understand the nature of your mind, and it would help you like detach from the story a little bit once you have done it with certain beliefs or certain times. But this second question is even more important, according to me, which is that is this belief enhancing the quality of my life, or is this belief decreasing it? Is this belief helpful or unhelpful? That is like, is this belief helping me move towards what matters most to me, or is this belief stopping me from doing that? Because if it is the later, if it is stopping you, if it is unhelpful, if it is decreasing the quality of your life, then it means that you need to change that belief, that it's um the right next step is to stop believing it, stop thinking of it as true. No matter whether it is true or not, drop that story. It is just a story. So drop that story because it is not helpful to help you move towards what you want. So allow yourself, give yourself the permission to change that belief, to drop that story in your head and to choose to believe something else that is more helpful. I usually speak or explain things later on, but this time I'm feeling like, explaining it right now. And another question that might be helpful is that what secondary benefits am I getting from believing this? So, so you can go on, like you can just stop at where at our previous question, but if you feel like exploring more and more and uncovering where is this coming from, or why do I believe this, then you believe a belief, you have learned to trust a particular story because it has helped you, it has served some purpose in the past. So maybe this question might help you hate your mind less if you have that kind of relationship with your mind, because it would show you um, that okay, I believe this, it is not helpful right now, then why the hell do I believe this? Right? But because you believe this because it has served some purpose at some point in your life. And instead of hating yourself or that part of you for believing it, it brings up a little compassion that you tried your best to make sense of the world around me in those moments when I needed it. You learned this, you tried to believe this because it was the only way to protect me, to help me cope with the situation. So it helps you to be more compassionate and then to let go of, that story in that kind of a way, instead of pushing it away, instead of resenting yourself to even believe that belief in the first place. So I feel like this question might help you do that, in case anyone needed this additional question too. Ah, so this was the reading. I spoke a lot between the readings, but I hope that that was helpful. So let me know, Sarah and Soul, if this reading resonated with you, and anyone else also, if this reading resonated with you. Let's see. Mary says, "Hi, Anisha." Hi, Mary. Mary says, "This is where my son believes this is helpful. I try to encourage him." So, okay. Okay. So, like, sorry if I didn't understood it correctly. You mean that your son, believes that particular okay. He puts himself down. Okay. Yeah. So it might be like a way, some people put themselves down or think of themselves as less because it is a way to protect themselves from getting, from the pain of getting criticism from other people. They think that, okay, if I put myself down, if I keep my head lower, then I would try anything new. And if I won't try anything new, then I won't get hurt, then I won't be rejected, then I won't be judged, then I won't be criticized. So this might be one of the reasons, why we or some of us develop this belief that okay, I need to hide myself in a way, or I need to uh, not show up as more because it would decrease the chances of that pain, that might happen in the future. So again, it is one of the protection mechanism that your son might have developed, and it might be really painful for you to witness him putting himself down in this way. And I love that you encourage him, and yeah, I guess mm, I can sense like the pain or the helplessness, that feeling of helplessness that you might feel when you witness him do that. It might be really difficult for you to uh see him do that. And I'm just thinking of uh some action step that I can give you. uh and I'm really like feeling that feeling of helplessness because it is hard to share some, like to see someone you care about suffer in any way, and not to be able to help them, not to be able to just help them see the beauty, the light that they are, sometimes. So uh so I think, like, okay, give me a moment. Hmm. Yeah, so okay, so it might help when, he is putting himself down, or, if he has this pattern, to maybe encourage him to do, new things that you might think he would succeed at, or that he might have a nice experience doing. And then, like, use that, like it is like building new evidences of, you know um building new evidences that would help him trust himself more, or you can help him if he is open to do that, sometimes when he is feeling low, to remind himself of all the past instances when, he all the past instances that contradict the exact belief that he has, and that might help him feel a little empowered in those moments, So I was not sharing this because I was not sure if he would be open to, accepting it, because sometimes it is really difficult to let that, in, and we keep on contradicting it, like you share an evidence and he's going to be like, but this happened, or but it was just luck, or but it was not so important, and all of those different things. And these are different mechanisms of our brain to maintain that belief, because they become like a core, structure, and our brain do not want it to fall away, so it develops other, mechanisms to keep that belief going. But sometimes it just takes one kind of piece of evidence or consistent practice to just, you know, um, chip away at those and build a whole new foundation, one step at a time as well. So maybe, maybe I have been talking a lot. Okay, maybe these two resources might help you, help him out in case you are interested, Mary. So there's this one, and this is for everyone as well. So this particular course that I've shared actually includes these two exact questions from this reading, which are Socratic questions, and some other questions that you can ask yourself, that you can reflect on when you are being drowned in those negative thoughts, when you are truly believing all the mean things that your mind is saying to you. So, this might help you challenge those stories, challenge those beliefs, challenge those thoughts, and, uh, give you space to breathe and to see things in a new light. The same situation, the same you, but in a new light. So, if you feel like you can, save it, give it a try. Um, and the other one was this. So I mentioned that, if you might share evidences from the past when he did good, at certain things, then he might resist it in some ways, like that was nothing, it was just luck. They, they might come up with any number of different reasons. So these are like different ways of thinking as well. So there are like certain ways of thinking that are not helpful, including this. So what I was referring to is called minimization. Um, and Yeah, so I have included all the different patterns of thinking in this particular course and how to counter each one. So maybe these strategies might help you if, he does that. So yeah, I hope that these resources help. Mary says, yes, a young adult feeling lost. My heart goes out to you, Mary. Mary says, very helpful. Thank you. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Okay, let me go through other comments. So Sarah says, thank you. Yes, and yes, it did. I'm happy to hear that, Sarah. Thank you for sharing it. I'm glad it resonated. And Soul says, it resonates with me as well. Call to action. Ah, I'm glad to hear that, Soul. And I love that you're ready to, always act on the wisdom. Sarah says, I too try not to come off overly confident or let myself look nice. Hmm. Yeah, because hmm. So maybe it might be interesting to ask yourself that what might happen if you do, what are you afraid of will happen if you do let yourself come off as overly confident or to look nice, Again, it might reveal something that your mind is trying to protect you from. And yeah, it's all these things are just made to protect us, and yeah, it's sometimes it worked in the past, but it might not right now. And if it isn't, if it is outdated, if it is not serving us right now in our life, then it's time to change it, right? um so yeah, so that was all for our first reading. I hope that you guys learned something new, or that you are going to give it a try, try questioning your mind at least for today and see what happens. uh yeah, Mary says, look nice, Sarah. Yeah, give yourself the permission, to do that in like a safe space first and see what happens, uh how does that make you feel? It might make you feel a little awkward or uncomfortable at first, but once you do that, then how does it makes you feel? It makes you feel kind of empowered in a way, or what happens? So just experiment and observe that what happens if you give it a try. Okay, so let me just take a sip of water and then we will move on to our second reading. Sarah says thank you. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. So, ready, guys? So, again, bring to your mind anything that you need guidance on as we spin the wheel. Okay. So, the book that came up is Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks, The Teachings of Abraham. So, let's see, let's open this book and yeah, let's ask for what it is that we want. Okay. Give me a moment. Oh, okay. And by the way, Mary or anyone else, I have like, so it popped up in my head. So I have like a playlist which is called Mindset Shifts, Little Reminders for You. I think, your son might like that. So if he is not open to talking about it, because sometimes children's are like people or young adults are not so open, then you can just share it and he can listen to it, and I hope that it might help him shift his mindset, his perspective. Okay, coming back. So let's see. Choosing some numbers for our game. Mhm. Okay, so my dear ones, I invite you to pick a number between 14 to 127. Here you go. So just pick the number that pops up first in your head, share it in the comments, and I will pick a number randomly based on my intuition. So let's see. And yeah, and I also wanted to say, thank you, Joe, for sharing the number before. We already chose a number at the time you shared it, but if you want, you can share it again. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Pyler. Welcome back, Pyler. Thank you, Doug. Oh, okay. Love that. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. Thank you, Mary and Sriram, for sharing the same number, that too simultaneously at the same time. Okay, love that. Okay. Yeah, in alignment, you guys. Okay, anyone else who wants to share a number? Just waiting for a moment in case anyone else wants to share a number as well. Okay, then let's go with page number 127, chosen by Mary and Sriram. I usually, earlier I used to go with anytime these two numbers come up, like, but then, sometimes it happens like there are multiple numbers that gets repeated twice. So I'm like, okay, let's see if that happens again, which is like even more magical. Okay, so let's see what wants to come. So so I was going to scroll up and then I realized my page number 127 is already opened on my screen. Okay, yeah, because it was the last number I just noticed. Hmm. And it's so interesting. Like every time I open this book, this reading has come up again and again and again and again this time. So so this is called Moving Up the Emotional Scale. So when to use this process? You can use this process when you feel bad and are having a difficult time feeling better. When something has happened to you or someone close to you that has knocked you back on your heels. When it has been necessary for you to deal with a crisis. When you have been diagnosed with a frightening illness. When someone you love has been diagnosed with a frightening illness. When your child or someone very close to you is experiencing a trauma or crisis. So, like, these are the situations for which this process is for, which is called moving up the emotional scale. And give me a second. So, there's an emotional scale, and on the top extreme is the emotion of joy, empowerment, love, appreciation. And on the very lowest extreme is the emotion of fear, grief, depression, powerlessness. And there are a whole lot of emotions in between. And the process is that first identify. So when you go through all these emotions, okay, let me first share the scale here in the comments so you get an idea. Okay, give me a moment. taking a little bit to load. Okay, so here is our scale. Hmm. So, okay, so this is our emotional scale. And uh, let's see. So, first, when you are feeling like at any moment when you're trying to apply this technique, you identify which emotion are you feeling right now. So, this also helps you, develop this emotional vocabulary. Instead of just saying I'm feeling good or bad, you can identify that specific emotion that you're feeling or the specific emotion that you want to feel because there are a whole list of, positive emotions as well. And eh, just trying to, extract the main points from this whole technique. Um, so yeah, so instead of asking like, do I feel good or bad, you can just ask yourself, like to identify the emotion, you can ask yourself, do I feel powerful or powerless, like the two extremes. And then once you have found your place on the emotional scale, your work is try to find thoughts that give you a slight relief from the emotion that you're feeling. So, a process of talking out loud or writing down your thoughts will give you the best reading of the way you are feeling. So you can, like, verbalize everything that is going on in your head, or you can write it down. This will help you identify that emotion even more clearly. Um, okay. And yeah, and just trying to find a way to help you move up the scale, So you can either identify a particular emotion in the top category and try to move towards it. So instead of this, so instead of, for example, like this, revenge, I want to feel optimism. And, so identifying if what I'm feeling right now, what do I want to feel instead? Taking a look at the above emotions, identifying that emotion, and then ask yourself, what is going to help me feel this right now? So, what can I say to myself? What can I do right now? What, what can I imagine right now? So, how what one small step that I can do right now to move away from this emotion that I'm feeling and to move towards this emotion that I want to feel, so saying something more optimistic regarding that situation will help you feel more optimistic, towards that situation, or maybe talking to someone who is more optimistic if your mind is not allowing these kind of thoughts right now. So maybe talking to that kind of a person, listening to something, that you find brings you hope, or instills this feeling of optimism within you. So this will help you, act more intentionally. So bringing awareness and then acting more intentionally towards, whatever it is that you want to feel in that moment. So this is how you can move up this emotional scale. And it doesn't have to be like a complete shift, from the lowest extreme to the highest one. You can even pick, moving a little bit up. So instead of doubt, you move towards a little bit up towards, like frustration. So that is also like a little bit progress. So you don't have to have a complete 180-degree, 360-degree turn. You just need a little bit, even like a 1% or 2% improvement in your mood. And that is a success in itself, in those moments, because that is going to create a little space in your heart within your body. So, yeah, this was the reading, This was our second reading for today, and maybe the final one as well, as we are reaching closer to the time. Okay, but let me ask you, do you guys want us to move to do one more reading, one final reading for today, or do you feel complete? If you feel complete, you can say that as well. So, yeah, let me know. Do you want us to do one more reading, or do you feel complete? And we will do as you say. Also, let me know, Mary and Sriram, if this reading resonated with you at all. And thank you so much for all the lovely hearts. I appreciate your love. Hmm. So, guys, any votes? Do you feel complete or do you want more? Mhm. Should I toss a coin? Ah, okay. Mary says, thank you. Yes, this is so great. I need to reflect on this. Thank you, Mary, for giving it a chance. And I hope that, this reflection reveals whatever it is that need to witness, whatever it is that you need to, see clearly. Mary says, sorry, Pilar says more. Okay, Pilar, as you say, your wish is my command. Okay, so let's see what wants to come through for our final reading for today. Hmm. Hi, Anna. Good morning. So, we were just doing our final reading for today. So, you are just on time. Yeah, exactly. The universe sent you just on time. Okay. So, dear Anna, and anyone else, um, bring to your mind whatever it is you need guidance on today. Hold that in your awareness as we spin the wheel. Okay. So the book that came up is Change Your Life in 7 Days by Paul McKenna. Hmm, pretty big promise, huh? Okay, let's see what wants to come through this beautiful book. And the interesting thing is that it might be a collective reading because I do not have the original book for this one, but I do have my notes from this book. So, what we are going to do is I'm going to close my eyes. You guys can think about what you need guidance on. And with my eyes closed, I will scroll through these notes until I feel like this is the section that everyone here needs to hear from. And then we will do a collective reading so that everyone gets to receive the message they need to hear most today. Okay? So, bring to your mind whatever it is you need guidance on as we scroll. Okay. So, seems like a story or something. Let's see. So, the heading is Dream Setting. A man was walking along beach, reflecting on his life. He had always wanted to make a difference, but no matter what he tried, he wound up feeling as though he was spitting into the wind. Suddenly, the man heard a loud crunch and looked down at his feet. Right where he was standing, and for as far as the eyes could see in either direction, there were thousands upon thousands of tiny starfish washed up onto the shore by the ocean waves and tide. The man continued walking, thinking to himself about the apparent cruelty of the ocean. After all, those starfish hadn't done anything wrong. Yet, before the day was done, they would be dead, washed up on shore and left to die. After a time, the man came across an old woman standing at the ocean's edge, throwing starfish that had washed up on shore back into the sea. When he asked her what she was doing, she said she had always wanted to make a difference. And she had decided that today was a good day to begin. The man looked from her to thousands upon thousands of starfish that lay dying across the coastline and said, "For every starfish you throw back into the ocean, three more wash up onto the shore. How can you possibly be making a difference?" The woman looked thoughtful for a moment. Then she picked up another starfish and threw it back into the sea. "Making a difference to that one," she said. And she smiled the most beautiful smile the man had ever seen. What a lovely story to end this live with. Thank you, Pyla, for requesting, one more reading. It was just so pure, so beautiful, so true. Ah, so I hope that you guys enjoyed this live, that you're carrying something valuable from this live, whether it was the wisdom, the energy, the emotions. And if you did, and if you want to, support my work, if you want to help me, help others, you can make a small contribution. Only if you feel called to do that, no pressure at all. And yeah, every contribution helps me create more and more resources for anyone who need them. So yeah, thank you so much. Tyler says, yay. Thanks for staying longer. Loved that. Thank you. Always, always. Thank you, Pilo. Mary says, thank you, Anisha, and blessings to all. Thank you so much, Mary, for being here, for those lovely blessings, and for your support. I so deeply appreciate that. And so do anyone who gets impacted by it. And anytime you feel low, you are welcome to read any review on any of the meditations and know that that person felt that way because of, the support that I received from you. And that helped me to create that offering. So, yeah. Ah, okay. I so appreciate you guys so, so much. I love spending time with you all. I really, really do. So, um, I bow down to the divine within you all. Namaste. May you all be safe. May you all feel loved. May you all live with more ease and peace. May you all find beauty in the little moments of life. So that is my wish for you. And I hope to see you guys day after tomorrow at the same time. So, if you are new to me and if you haven't followed me yet, I invite you to do that so that you can, get notified about my next lives, or you can, check out any of the resources that I create for you. And if you want to check out anything, any of the stuff, any of the offerings that I have created for you, you're welcome to check out my profile on Insight Timer, which is this Anisha Maheshwari. And if you want like a summary of today's live, then you will find it when you scroll down on the home page. And at the very bottom, you will see my group called World of Wisdom. So if you want, you can join this group with 154 other beautiful beings. And yeah, I usually upload a summary of each live within like 5 or 10 minutes of the live getting over in this group in our little community. So if you feel called, you can watch it, you can join it. And if you feel called to explore what all I offer, then you can check out the playlist section above it. So I've organized all of my content in the form of these 5 playlists, which you're welcome to check out. And you know, if you resonate with any playlist, you can save it, you can share it. That is also, that also supports me if you guys listen to my content because I pour all of my heart into it. So it means a lot, when you guys really, take the time to watch it, to listen to it. So yeah, thank you. I hope to see you guys soon. Day after tomorrow to be precise. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Have a wonderful, beautiful day or night.